Welcome, everyone, to our latest edition of AI Insiders with AI Marketers Guild. I'm excited to bring a bunch of great demos here today. Um, I, I hope everyone here at least gets a taste of what's going on with ERA, Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator. I've been a mentor since something like class number 3. And show like what number are we on? 20 something?
We're recruiting for 28 now. So you've been around for a long time.
I've seen almost every well, I've at least gotten exposed to the work of almost every startup, and I wind up meeting with 4 to 6 companies for every class they've done, and so it's just a tremendous group, and as ERA keeps building its brand nationally and internationally, then I think the competition keeps getting even tougher. And I know that there was a big that made a big leap in terms of like the kind of commitment that they make to the companies involved. And the mentorship programs incredible, the kinds of folks that these companies get access to. And I was just at a mixer last week and getting to talk with fellow mentors. It's a big point of pride for a lot of us because we just meet some incredibly inspiring founders, even some of those who are trying to get into the next class. It's like yeah, not all of them will make it in, and just the kind of startup talent out there is it's inspiring. So today we're going to move pretty quickly and share a small taste of that inspiration. And because this class, when I did the mentoring, I was like there are just so many relevant companies to what we're doing at Marketers Guild. So I just would love to have more of ERA's portfolio involved with the community. Sho, who's just been this great liaison between mentors and founders among our responsibilities, has just done tremendous work in setting up this event. So thank you, Sho. I'll let you share a little bit about what you're doing and the application window right now, and then we'll get into some quick demos, have a little bit of Q&A, and at least have these as ways to start the conversations.
Perfect. Thank you so much, David. I really appreciate the invitation for you bringing us into your community and connecting ERA founders with AI Marketers Guild. Hi, everyone. I'm Sho. I'm the Director of Platform here at ERA. I have the pleasure of working with mentors and also our awesome founders. And we are recruiting for our next cohort. So the program will start January 13th in the new year until April, and applications are open until Monday, November 4th at midnight. And so we're based in New York, and we've been operating for about 13 years now, going into our 28th cohort. We invest $150,000 on a post-money safe in return for 6% of each company. The program, and we think of ourselves as true partners to all of our founders. Working with them day in, day out on, building their business, telling their story, connecting them with amazing mentors like David, of course, as well as another, a larger group of over 1,000 mentors, entrepreneurs, investors. And we have a portfolio of over 350 companies as well. So we invest in a wide range of industries. So we are truly generalists in that way. And you'll see a bit of that in the 4 companies that you'll meet today. Our companies have raised over $2 billion in capital and have a collective market cap of over $10 billion. And we're lucky to have 4 unicorns in our portfolio as well. So hopefully you'll see some future ones here today and see their products as they present to you. But again, thank you so much for the invitation. If you're interested yourself or know any founders that would be a good fit for ERA, please reach out. My emails are always open. My email is Sho, or I'll drop it in the chat, but I will let David take it from here. But thanks so much for the invitation again.
Great. Well, thanks for the show. Again, so excited to have so much of this talent here, and look forward to a lot of great success stories coming from this class. Let's get a taste of what they're all about. Let's start with QI. And then, yeah, we'll have like 5 or so minutes presentation, 5 or so Q&A. I know this will go super fast, but again, I want to just give everyone a brief preview of what's going on, and then hopefully they'll trigger some more conversations going from there.
Hey, David, this is Wade. And I'm the founder and CEO of Adresa. Can I go first? And I
Sure.
spoke with QI people, and they are okay with that. So,
oh, right, you could trade up in the draft. So
thank you, sir. And I'm joined by Chase. Chase Money. Chase, if you want to raise your hand, he's my co-founder. So I'll have to drop at 12:30. But for Q&As, Chase will be here. So happy to engage in that as well. So with that, let me talk quickly about Adresa. I know we have about 4 to 5 minutes. So I'll share my screen and go over the few slides that we have put together for this group. So please give me a heads up if you can see my screen. It's pulling up.
yeah, got your Slack open here and not the deck.
Perfect. So we are Adresa AI. I'm Ved. I'm the founder and CEO. I was the head of agency marketing science at Facebook. And before Facebook, I was a data scientist with the Home Depot, American Express, and Starbucks, all advertisers on Facebook. During my time at Facebook and at advertisers, I saw seismic changes in the economics of advertising. Cookies went away, privacy concerns skyrocketed, and regulations came into play. And all of this drove cost of advertising way up and ROI way down. But because I had worked both on the Facebook side and on the advertiser side, I had a unique insight. You see, we all know that Facebook and Google have data on users like you and I. But here is the insight. Advertisers have even more data. They know about their customers' lifetime value, the customers' churn, retention, coupon redemption, inventory sell-through, trade promotions, so much information that platforms like Google and Facebook do not have access to. So you see, the problem is that ad platforms and advertisers' data systems, they do not talk to each other. So we founded Adresa. It is the SaaS platform that connects ad platforms with the advertisers. And by attaching first-party data to platforms' data, Adresa drives an up to 30% increase in the ROI for the advertisers of Google and Facebook. And it works, which is why we have advertisers lining up to buy our solution. We are currently at $240,000 in ARR, having launched our MVP only 8 months ago, and are confident of closing this year with an ARR of $500,000. Now I want to give a couple of examples of our customers who are using the platform. So the first example is of this media buyer, whose name is Maurice, who buys ads for Finance HQ, one of our actual customers. Maurice is interested in buying leads for Finance HQ, right? So for buyers like Maurice, Facebook has been a great source of cheap quality leads, but the world has changed, especially after Apple's ATT rollout. Now Facebook, you see, cares about one thing. They want to sell you leads. So Facebook will tell an advertiser that man in Peoria, aged 25 to 34, that advertiser will get more clicks from that man and not that woman 55 plus in Sacramento. But here's the thing. With Adresa's platform and with our first-party data, Maurice now has additional information. He now knows that man in Peoria, he may click more often. He may or may not buy. And even if he buys, he will churn soon. But that woman in Sacramento, even though she clicks less often, but when she does, she will become a lifelong loyal customer. We know this from the first-party data. And that's just one of our online customers. The second example I'm going to share is about Home Depot, and this is where I actually worked. So Home Depot knows which regions, which stores have inventories, right? So they do not want to be advertising where they're out of stock. They need their advertising to factor in where they can actually deliver their product. Now, Facebook and Google do not know which region, which stores have inventory, but our company, Adresa, does. So by looking at the sell-through data at a week level, we buy ads, and as a result, we see improvement in performance by 20 to 30% that I spoke about. Now we are currently live with Facebook and Google, which alone accounts for 45% of all advertising. This comes down to around $300 billion of ad spend globally. But soon we'll be integrating with other platforms like Amazon Ads, like, podcasts, like connected television, right? Retail media is getting huge, bringing power of our platform to every programmatic advertiser. You see, marketing science SaaS is relatively a niche market. You have agencies sort of, that are playing in this field, but, they work on UI. They are not necessarily, using machine learning and AI. Advertisers are already spending close to $20 billion to optimize their spend. The problem is it's not working well. We think what we are doing is not simply ad tech. It is marketing science. It is SaaS. Unlocking all of this value requires a full 360-degree view of a merchant's business: online data, offline data, behavioral data, financial data, coupon redemption data. It is incredibly complex. So we take a good stock of that first-party data and buy ads on Facebook, and Google, bringing that, ads return to 20 to 30% improvement. This is entirely a new data challenge, and it requires a really entirely new form of marketing science, which is what we have built at Adresa. Like I mentioned before, Chase Money is my co-founder. Chase and I were partners at Facebook. I built the technology, he sold it. We complement each other perfectly. And yeah, we are looking forward to building the future of marketing science. Thank you.
This is great. Thanks so much, Ved. We have our first question coming in from Adam. A lot of systems can make this first-party data to meta connection. So what are the atomic units of linkage and/or the differentiators you all have?
Yes, Adam. So there are certain variables that Facebook and Google allow control of when it comes to buying ads on their platforms, right? Lot of platforms that claim that they use first-party data, for the most part, they don't know which those variables are. That's number one. Number two, there is an order to these variables. That is, which variable is more important than the other variable, right? So we have a unique insight on, given our work at Facebook, that which variable is important. And thirdly, there's a nesting happening here. So there is an order to variable, and based on that order, let's say, gender and geo and device type, right? We create thousands of segments based on first-party data, and we create some derived metrics like churn value, retention value, customer lifetime value, and those values are then fed into these systems to buy, impression level bid at a nested level.
I guess my question is, what is your what are you doing that others haven't done before? Are you getting access to certain elements inside a Meta's platform? Are you linking in a way that others haven't done? Do you have predictive feedback loops that you feel like are just outperforming others? Are you able to take those heuristics and then forward apply it into better lookalike expansion, buying, expansion of campaigns, the ad sets, self-heal faster? I sort of looking for what you guys have that's better than others.
It's actually a bit of all of that, Adam, to be honest, right? So the first thing you said was, that, these variables, right, they were not done before. So yeah, that's yes. Some of these variables that Facebook and Google are giving control to advertisers, they are relatively new. That's number one. Number two, using what type of first-party data to match to these variables is also, relatively not well known. For example, are you generating more leads? Are you generating more sales? Are you interested in more apps download? So you have different objectives on Facebook and Google. And based on that objective, what first-party data you need, right, is we map that. This is the first-party data that you will need. So that's number two. And this is also, for example, no one is talking about matching, inventory sell-through to buy better ads, right? So that's relatively new.
I would argue that the feedback loop based on segments or different conversion things and then tying to inventory, I would argue people have been doing that. We've been doing that with a lot of our clients. I think your point's well taken. Maybe it's not so accessible. It requires multiple systems, and certainly with some of the more advanced predictive feedback loops, LLM driven or otherwise, like putting that all together. Yeah, but Yeah, just, it sounds like you're bringing a lot of those pieces.
Yes, and to your the last point that you made, right, the feedback loop. So usually, when people companies have done it, it is either activation or measurement. And on measurement, either they will use MTA or MMM or synthetic control, right?
Mhm.
One of our insight was that I saw, having been a data scientist for a while, this was more of a consulting gig, data science, and we saw sassification of the one model at a time. So one of our unique insight, like, why just do one model sassification, right? There's an opportunity to take 5 of these models and bring them together in a marketing science platform, which at this point, I think some people are trying to do, but I don't think there is an end-to-end marketing science SaaS platform that helps both on the activation and on measurement on multiple objectives.
No, fair point. Squark AI would let you choose from a lot of those things, but it was still very much at the model level.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for chiming in with the great questions. Ved, this is terrific. Ved, Chase, feel free to share your info and any links in the chat. All the presenters, you're welcome to do so. Best ways to follow up with you, any materials you want to share, and if there's anything else you want to share after with the community, feel free to send it my way. We're going to now get into our next presenter. So now do we have QI?
Yes. Allow me to share my
Thanks, JD.
screen. Good morning, everybody.
How you doing, JD?
Or afternoon. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the QI logo there in a couple different windows. So here we go.
Okay, wonderful. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm JD Rico. I'm the CEO and founder of QI. Built my career for almost 2 decades working with global brands like Philips, AB InBev, and agencies like Dentsu and OMD. Been doing mostly quality modeling for consumer insights, mainly for new product development and social listening. That's been the most part of my experience. And one of the things I always witnessed was that despite our best efforts as brands and agencies, we are still making multi-million-dollar decisions with limited and mostly manual testing. So today I want to talk about our approach to testing. So testing through focus groups and surveys, as we're well aware, takes weeks and can cost tens of thousands per dollar per concept. This, of course, limits the amount of tests that companies can run for each given campaign, for each given creative concept. We've seen extreme cases like the ones that we've seen in the last few years, Pepsi, but like KFC, that they have cost companies billions. But it's not just about like these black swan events. We're talking about every day having an opportunity to improve the efficiency of the advertising spend. And we're seeing that many brands, many marketers, particularly if you're not a leader, you're wasting a lot of time and money on campaigns that don't end up performing. We see that on the consumer insights and research market, about 15 billion goes on specifically that goes on for product development. And then there's $19 billion that go to content testing and brand health specifically. And one thing that we saw was that there still is an opportunity for, as we were talking a few minutes ago, for real-time feedback loops and real-time feedback. Now, A/B testing focuses specifically on incremental changes, but then there's the question of deeper creative and audience insights that are really out of scope for A/B testing. And what we're talking about is deep insights that will reveal common issues like product problems, cultural insensitivities, and that will inform product development and campaign decisions. And that's why we built QI. We built QI as a predictive SaaS platform for testing creatives and campaigns for impact, risk, and compliance before going live. So far, we've seen success leveraging data from CRM engagement data, live social data, historic campaign performance data, both for agencies and consumer brands, where we're able to provide real-time analysis for text, image, and video formats. We can run both unitary and bulk tests for multiple audiences. And on top of that, we can minimize compliance risk. So we've been lucky enough to work with an anchor client. There you go. With an anchor client that has been using QI to test an average 10 times more tests, run 10 times more tests that they normally do per campaign. And this, of course, is a measure of productivity. Each test right now is going at around 45 seconds. It's costing less than $100 per test. And we're able to test against a sample size that is thousands or tens of thousands of historical data, current and spontaneous user-generated content, comments, and product reviews. Probably the best measure that we're onto something is that we started with one brand at AB InBev, was Corona. Now we're scaled to 6 top beer brands in only a few months, and we have the indication that more are coming. So I've already hinted at how it works, but let me show you very quickly. We aggregate unstructured data, unstructured content assets like live, spontaneous, user-generated content. In the left, you see a very quick dashboard where we're uploading all the real-time information that includes stop accounts, influencers, trending products. Then we're also capable of including historical campaigns, which are uploaded via API or with a simple export. And then we run the algorithms against live data using our proprietary semantic and sentiment algorithms. And then we're capable of delivering hyper-targeted insights, like this particular report where you see that we can provide feedback for each one of the different audiences that we're looking at, provide predictive risk scores, raise compliance alerts for each one of the clauses that for the brand's communications charter and ethics and compliance charter. And then we're able of extracting creative level, asset level insights that allow us both to inform our models for a feedback loop, a real-time feedback loop, and help the agencies or teams optimize their creative work. So far, we've seen great traction with consumer goods companies, and now we're starting with new design partners with financial services companies, particularly banks. And we're also starting to see interest with pharmaceutical companies. All these companies have in common that they are restricted, highly regulated, and they require a lot of content and a lot of concepts to stay competitive. I've almost 20 years doing this, and my team is basically built from companies, large consumer goods companies like Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo. And our claim to fame right now is to be a player in real-time feedback and content testing and brand health. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks. Any quick questions for JD? I mean, just one quick one for you. When you talk about content testing and but before it's public, is it using it on like the actual content on a on just like a very small audience segment, or is it like using all the other signals that relate to it so that you're essentially like testing it before you're actually using that piece of content?
The latter, the latter. What we're doing is we deconstruct each creative asset into visual and textual semantics. And then we're able to test each new video, new image against spontaneously generated content reviews, which is an alternative to asking a few people. What we're doing is actually going on in real time, live, and checking what those entities, what's the probability of those entities for generating a positive or a negative sentiment.
Great, thanks. And Barad's asking, are you going to advertisers directly? Who's your target market?
Yeah, we're going to advertisers directly. Because of my experience, we started with consumer goods companies, particularly CPGs. And again, now we're seeing a lot of interest from financial services companies. We have 2 major banks that are our design partners. So if they're selling directly to consumers, if they have a lot of data, and if they're suffering the usual pains of dealing with several agencies, hiring focus groups to de-risk the investment, that's our ICP, or that's our go-to-market.
Great. Well, thank you so much for this, JD. Oh, Aileen, I'll just get a quick question in there for me. And you're on mute if you're.
Sorry. I was wondering how the agencies are reacting to this, because you're telling them that their baby is ugly in some instances.
That's awesome that you asked that question. That was definitely one of the fears that we had at the beginning. But what we've seen is that agencies are actually appreciating the ability to quantify variables like brand health, like cultural insensitivities when pitching. We've seen that when agencies have been using the tool, it's like coming with an additional quantifiable report that allows the back and forth that goes between client and agency to minimize and eliminate some of the subjectivity that brands many times have when making decisions. So we're actually seeing that there's an angle to become an empower and augmenting the ability of the agency more than competing against them.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, JD. Again, feel free to leave your info in the chat. Anyone can follow up in the chat as well with further questions. And then let's hear from Fisk.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, David. Yeah, super excited to be here. Happy to, take a couple minutes to tell you about Fisk, and then, would love to sort of open up for Q&A. Before we dive into it, just to give you a quick background. So I sold my last startup in the marketing space about a couple years ago, working on event marketing software, actually, or for the acquirer. Most recently, I was working at a company called Rockerbox. For those of you who might be familiar, marketing attribution and analytics, building MTA, MMM, incrementality models. And that's where, I worked with primarily a lot of D2C e-com companies. And a huge part of what we were doing is that we were building these ML models to sort of, understand and evaluate marketing campaigns and ads by, building these models on top of customer data, website data, marketing data, et cetera. But every single time we ran into, significant issues with our customers really struggling to collect a lot of good first-party data. So, one of that we saw time and time again is just that, either it required too much engineering or it was too big of a lift. And even something as simple as collecting, an additional field on an add to cart, or collecting an additional event on when someone uses a size checker on the site, ends up being bogged down in months and months of engineering. And, especially nowadays, as marketers, we're all aware of everything that's happening with the cookie landscape, deprecation happening there, but also the value of data is increasing. Of course, as we're talking with AI Marketers Guild, the data that is being collected today is powering the AI initiatives of, not just tomorrow, but literally today. And ultimately, if you don't have the right data, you're not able to really press play on those initiatives. And so, there's a wide variety of tools that, of course, we're all using. And, a lot of you may be familiar with tools like CDPs or product analytics tools, whether it is GA or Segment or Amplitude or RudderStack or any number of these, right? But oftentimes the data that you get out of it and the promise of those tools to sort of solve all your data woes is not the reality that you get out of it. And a lot of it is because of this crazy game of telephone. I'm not going to get into this diagram, but you can kind of tell, right? There's this whole sort of translation from marketing and finance to product and data and engineering. And before you know it, it either takes you way too long to get anything done, and who knows what's actually even being collected, what data you have in Looker or whatnot. And so the end result is either setup doesn't happen, you never get the data that you need, it just doesn't happen, or the data that you have is just not detailed enough. It doesn't have the attributes or properties that are actually going to, power your campaigns that allow you to do the segmentation that you want, or it just takes way too long. By the time the engineering team says they're going to get, this thing out in 3 months, your campaign's already done running. So, what's the point of collecting all this data? And, that's just scratching the surface in terms of, the things that we've heard of after talking to over 140 different heads of data and growth folks at, B2C and then B2B companies as well. So, what we're doing at Fisk is we're sort of flipping that on its head. And we're building a data collection platform that makes it significantly easier for marketers to get the data they need without needing to have to go through that engineering bottleneck. And really what we're doing is multiple fold. So the first is that we are simplifying that data collection piece. So right now for an engineer to implement one of these existing CDP or data collection tools, they have to go into the code base, they have to write hundreds, sometimes thousands of lines of code. There's a whole negotiation. You want to collect 10 attributes. The engineer's like, well, it's going to take too long, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe they do one of them. With Fisk, it's one line of code where they simply say, like, I just want to track add to cart, order complete, whatever it is. And then the other side of it, the data team, marketing, analytics, whoever it is, they can sort of specify, here is the shape of the data we want to pull out. For the add to cart event, here's the properties that we want. And here's how, order total should be defined. It should be the sum of taxes and product and shipping. You have full control over that. So let me just show you guys a quick demo of what this actually looks like. So we've got just an e-commerce, website right here. And, we're just going to look at, let's say, the checkout page. We want to enhance how we're sort of tracking checkout. So what you see right there, that is sort of that call. That one line of code is all of the engineering team needs to do. And again, this is kind of the other world. You have these hundreds of lines of code that they would typically need to do with, your classic CDPs, essentially. So let's actually take a look at what this actually looks like when it runs. So now what happens is, right here. So here you have this is the other interface where the marketing team, the data team is specifying what should actually be pulled out. Again, the engineering team doesn't need to do this anymore, and you can update this on the fly. So let's go ahead and click checkout, and we'll sort of see what this looks like. So just wait for this video to catch up here. And at the bottom, take a look at the bottom of the screen right now. So we're going to click Pay Now. Now you see right there, that's the first initial call that's coming in. That's the one line of code the engineer had to write. And then what we're doing behind the scenes is sort of expanding it out using our proprietary algorithms and a lot of LLMs behind the scene as well. We're essentially taking what used to be that one line and turning it into this entire payload that has all the rich detail and information that you need, whether it is how much the customer has purchased in the last 6 months, the order total, the products, again, without having to bug the engineering team at all. So yeah, that's just been a quick demo of Fisk. I'm happy to take your questions. Also, this QR code right here signs you up for our wait list. And if you, there's a field for referral codes. If you enter the code AIMG, I'll know that you guys came from here, and we'll make sure to sort of prioritize and follow up. So yeah, looking forward to your questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Samin. Who's got a question for Samin?
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So Samin, I just hearing about CDP makes my skin crawl, because I just remember doing MMMs and being like, which data source? So let's say an enterprise, or you've acquired companies, and let's say you have 13 sources of the same data. does your platform reconcile, or how do you do you do an A/B test? Like, how do you recommend everyone at the leadership level aligning on the right structured data source?
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I think that's one of the big challenges that we have is that when it comes to data, especially as you're like acquiring companies, like you're just looking at data in like a table and it's like, I have no idea how it got there, what went into it. So that is part of what we're doing. And so the first step to onboarding our product, and there's actually a free tool that we launched that's related to this, is that you can hook up our tool that basically what it does is it analyzes the sources that generate data. So if you've got like, a website or you've got this code base or whatever, we crawl that, and then we actually automatically generate like the data schemas and the definitions of how that data is defined. That information is used for our full product as well, but that's actually something that we're giving away for free. And so what that does is like, if you're using an existing CDP, all these folks have implemented it, you just sort of hook us in. We're going to crawl and automatically document that setup. So, it doesn't need to be manually done, and you can automatically basically catalog all your data assets.
So leadership basically has to pick one before you start, right? Like you have to align, like this is the true source of clicks, or this is the true source of like add to cart.
Yes. So I think the thing is that the definitions, like there might be multiple add to carts and multiple clicks. And the information that I think, data teams and leadership does not have right now is how is that actually defined? Like, is it, is add to cart happening when they like click the button? Is it after they do a couple other things? Is there, and I think there's some nuances, and that's why you can have multiple things, essentially multiple instances of the same field or variable, and not really know what it means. So the first step to be like, I think, yes, ultimately you do need to choose one, but you need to understand the differences and nuances between all the different variations as well before you're able to make that decision.
So you show us, and then we still have to be accountable for the choice. You can't like A/B test all of them for us and be like, this one's real. But I get it. No, thank you. That's actually very helpful.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Samin. And now we will finish our demos up today with Zero True.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for letting me present today. Really appreciate all of your time. My name is Red. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Zero True, and we're a development environment driving better business decisions by instantly connecting business users to their data science and machine learning teams. So I was a data scientist before this, and I wanted to just start with a really quick story about what we're building and why. And basically, the story centers around the Shopify CEO. So obviously, massive e-commerce platform. He was at a summit recently and was asked how inflation was affecting consumer spending on his platform, but he didn't know. So his exact answer to that question was, that knowledge is trapped in Python notebooks within our organization. And now I'm sure most of you will have a data science team, and odds are they are actually relying on Jupyter notebooks today. It's the most common development environment used in data science, but it's 20 years old, was developed in academia, and basically taking work from a Jupyter notebook into a format that is usable by a business user can take weeks, if not months. And this leads to a bunch of confusion, delayed revenue opportunities, and just really slows people down because the amount of time it takes to get feedback on what you're doing is just too long. And with Zero True, on the other hand, you can instantly share notebooks as interactive applications with business users. So you can get feedback and give feedback and make sure that whatever solutions your data science team is building are aligned with the needs of your business. So the way it works, and I'm going to give an actual demo that's in our product, but the way it works is data scientists will write code And from there, there are interactive outputs that they generate below. With one click, they're able to share these interactive outputs, and then business users can comment on, whether what they're building works or not. So this means that rather than coming up with a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint presentation where at the end of the week you get an update from your team on what happened, you're continuously interacting with these live models, which are now working their way into the stack much more, like ChatGPT and Claude, and with your live data that's coming in to whatever data sets and warehouses. So the information that you're getting is not out of date. Me and my co-founder, I have years of experience in data science, and my co-founder was a software engineer at Publicis Sapient, putting ML into production. So we're a great team to build this. And I used to work in ad tech and martech, building forensic control groups for marketing campaigns for really large retailers. So we understand how much of this data and how cutting edge some of the applications in ad tech are becoming nowadays. And yeah, together we're flipping the script for data intelligence. So to give you a bit more of a demo of how this product works, basically there is a starting interface that people have where there's different teams that they can join. From there, they can manage user access onto these teams. So you may have a revenue operations team and a marketing team, and revenue may be sensitive, and so you may want to just add people to certain teams and not others, and give them permission to view but not edit potentially. So all of that is built into the platform. And then from there, what these actual notebooks look like is they look like this. And this is, if you're a data scientist or someone who's ever seen a Jupyter notebook, this will look familiar. You have cells of code and then related outputs. And you can add code above or below a cell, and you can interweave text and markdown as well. And so in this example, we have a data scientist connecting to a consumer data platform, very relevant in this session today, we coming after Fisk especially. Then we have a transaction database that we connect to, and we bring in some previous support interactions. And then all of this data is, number one, available to be easily visualized by a business user with a drag and drop BI type interface. So you can just create your own plots, do your own exploration, and then provide feedback. But then number two, this information for this example is being fed into a chatbot to draft marketing emails. So here in app mode, what you'll see is you get another view of the notebook. All of the code is gone, and all you see are UI elements that you can interact with. So from here in this application, what we do is we take a customer ID, we bring in all of their data so that it's visible, and then we format a prompt based on this data. So we say, hey, ChatGPT, draft a marketing email based on the customer details below. And this is pulling in data from all of these sources. So Jenny, you mentioned, acquiring multiple companies, you may have scattered data sets. This is a way for you to kind of get visibility into where did this all come from? Where are the definitions? It's all in the code in the notebook. And then what is the output? It's down here. And so if we just say generate email here, and we press generate, moment of truth. Here we go. So basically ChatGPT has now here generated an email with all the information that was provided. It may not be perfect, but that's where you come in and you can provide feedback with comments. And then from there, you can go ahead and say, hey, this didn't look great. We need to improve on the prompt, and it needs to be better, whatever that may be. So that's more or less how it works. I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Awesome, thanks, Red. Any other any questions for Red? Sorry, echo.
What businesses are you targeting for this this product? What types of businesses would be the ideal user base?
So we're building a horizontal tool. So we basically are targeting business-facing and experimental data science teams across verticals. So this week, we just implemented our first on-prem deployment for a company that services pharmaceutical customers. We're currently being used in the pharma industry. We also signed an LOI with a consultancy that works with banks. So we're going into financials, and then we have some SMBs that have more custom use cases that are using us today as design partners.
Great, thank you, Kate. Well, Red, feel free to leave your info as well in the chat. If any last questions for any of the presenters that anyone might have missed, we'll make sure to share all this with those who RSVP'd as well. And yeah, I mean, it's really exciting seeing all these implications for advertising, data science, and just across the gamut here. I mean, I hope everyone appreciates just the amount of excitement and innovation. It's great to see a lot of folks coming from agencies and tech platforms and others, and just trying to move the marketing and ad industries forward. So hope you'll keep sharing a lot of what you're doing with Marketers Guild, and yeah, I welcome everyone continuing to check out our upcoming events that we keep adding to and updating speakers to over here. We'll have Jay-Z coming on soon, who was just talking today, and some other great speakers coming up. Red, thanks for sharing your info in the chat for anyone who wants to connect directly. And yeah, we'll wrap today. ERA folks, I look forward to rejoining you with lots of events coming up. Be sure to check their application info for anyone with the next big idea. I'll be sure to share that with the community too. And thanks everyone. This has been terrific and inspiring, and for me, always a lot of fun. So appreciate you all coming today.
Thank you, David, and everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks.